Okay, so I want to officially welcome each and every one of you to today's webinar on how to double your practice in the next 90 days. My name is Kevin Doherty, and I'm with Dream Practice Coaching and BuildYourDreamPractice.net. It's really a pleasure and a privilege to have each and every one of you guys here with me over the next 60 to 90 minutes. And what I'm going to do is lay out what I consider to be a step-by-step plan for helping you reach your practice goals as fast as possible. And I know that this is a somewhat bold claim here on how to double your practice in 90 days, but I absolutely believe it's possible. And in fact, I've had the direct experience of doing that myself and then some. I actually had a rather uncanny experience in my own practice of doubling it within a 2-week period and going from about 20 patients a week to 40 patients a week very, very quickly. And I'm going to share a little bit about my story as we progress onwards here. But yeah, you've been brought to this webinar today because you're definitely somebody who's motivated, you're committed, you're looking to expand what you do in the fastest, most efficient way possible. And I'm, of course, without stress, without overwhelm, without frustration. So if that's the case, I really welcome you. I commend you for being here. Like I just said a few minutes ago, it's a testament to you and the level of seriousness you have in your business that you're willing to invest in your marketing education, just as you have your clinical education. And I really consider them to go hand in hand. That one should really complement the other. So this webinar is going to be upwards of 90 minutes. It's going to be very content rich. I definitely encourage you to have pen and paper handy, take good notes, and it should give you a lot of great tips and insights to build your practice as swiftly as we can possibly get you there. So the reason I like to do these free webinars, you guys, honestly, I really don't have anything to sell or anything like that. At the end of this webinar, I will share a little bit about how you can work with me in more depth. If that feels like something that would be inspiring to you, I'll go into some detail on that. So I do encourage you to hang out till the end and we can feel that out, see if that's a good fit for you. But if not, that's absolutely no problem at all. The real reason I wanted to bring you to this webinar is because I definitely have a passion for helping people get more exposure, who are looking to do big things in the world, who are looking to make a positive impact, help others in the most profound way possible. So that's really, after a lot of soul searching and digging into myself, that's what I've discovered I really love doing, is helping people like you build really successful businesses and get that exposure. So I'm going to share a little bit about my story here in a second. But I feel like you're definitely in good hands here. I've had the unique and kind of interesting experience of building a couple of really successful businesses. One of them was a private practice, and one of them is my coaching business. And as part of my coaching business, we have almost 100,000 people following us on Facebook now. We have a very large online audience. And I've definitely developed my own marketing skill to be able to create that kind of audience, those kinds of numbers. So I'm really happy and excited to share with you what I've learned about this process, about marketing your business, getting more clients or patients in the door. It is an absolutely crucial skill set to get in your business. And once again, thrilled you're here, and let's go ahead and dive in. So actually, before I do, just a couple quick logistics. If you have questions during the webinar, go ahead and type those into the chat field. And what I'm going to do is look through all of the questions at the end of the webinar, okay? I found that there's a definitely allows for a little bit more flow if I can just go ahead and present everything first and then go back at the end and answer all of your questions. And I'm happy to do that, all right? So cool, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just jump into the presentation. Most of this is going to be in PowerPoint format. And then some of it, I'll hop off of the PowerPoint, get on the internet, and show you a few live examples of what I'm talking about, okay? So let's get the ball rolling, and you should be able to see my screen right now. It says double your practice in 90 days, and it is time for your breakthrough, which I truly believe. That is why you're here. So here's a quick overview of what you're going to learn in today's presentation. You're going to learn an easier way to build your ideal practice that will eliminate about 95% of the stress you're feeling right now. Now, everybody coming onto this webinar, whether we really want to admit it or not, is carrying around some sort of pain or challenge or stress that has likely motivated them to learn and to figure out some different ways, some strategies to overcome their challenges. So whatever your challenges are, whatever is kind of stressing you out about your work or has frustrated you in the past or is concerning, I really think that this blueprint, this system I'm going to lay out for you is going to be extremely helpful to overcome that. You're actually going to learn how to charge higher fees for your services and attract more clients as a result. Now, a lot of us think of this is the exact opposite, that I have to discount my services in order to bring in more business. And I really think that's a flawed mindset. It's a limited mindset. And with good marketing and expert positioning, you can absolutely command a higher price point for what you do and actually bring more people to you. You're definitely going to get a strong overview here of the biggest mistakes and pitfalls practitioners make and the exact steps you need to take to avoid them. And also how to set up a simple but very powerful online client attraction system that brings ideal clients or patients to you like a magnet. So I love systems. This is really all about systematizing what you do. And that's a very powerful concept to grasp. So if that sounds good, let's keep rolling with the content. And I hope you're looking at this list right now and thinking, oh my gosh, yes, this feels like a relief. I'm definitely excited to learn. And like I said, I just want to reinforce that these are all some of the most pivotal, crucial points you can learn in business to really prevent failure, to prevent mistakes, to really succeed at what you do in a lasting way that provides a lot of fulfillment. So before I jump into some content for you guys, just a little bit about me. A lot of you have come onto this webinar. You're probably new to me and I'm new to you. So if that's the case, I just wanted to share a little bit about my background. So over the past several years, I've definitely become known as a leading authority on practice building and marketing. So like I said, we have a big online presence. I've literally been able to help thousands of practitioners at this point, which has been awesome in my group programs and just through various services that we offer and products. I'm the author of Build Your Dream Practice, Online Mastery for Holistic Practitioners. And I also wrote a book a few years ago called The Purpose Principle, which was basically my kind of contemplation of the integration between life purpose and chronic health issues. And what I discovered in my own practice time and again is that so many patients in our modern world are struggling with their chronic health issues because they're not connected with what they're meant to be doing during their life. They don't feel like they're integrated with their purpose. And the body is always going to mirror that back to us. So that was my kind of exploration of that concept to help elucidate that for both myself and my clients. So that's been wonderfully received, and I'm really happy to see that. So like I said, I've had the good fortune of working with thousands of holistic health professionals and really all kinds of small business owners and entrepreneurs over the past several years. And what's really interesting about my experience, you guys, is that I came into my practice with literally zero marketing or business development experience. And I went on to build a very full practice within a couple of years, seeing as many patients as I could personally ever handle. And it's just kind of an interesting situation because when I got into practice, like many of you, I'm sure coming onto this webinar, I really had no interest in business or marketing or entrepreneurship. It just wasn't part of my priority or value system. And in fact, I got my bachelor's degree in Eastern religious studies and mostly studied meditation and mindfulness during that time. Because, I don't know about you, but in my childhood, I had a lot of big questions that were kind of unanswered, coming out of my conventional education. So I felt like until I got answers or clarity on those questions, I didn't feel like I could move forward in life. So that was my main priority when I was a young adult, is just kind of doing the inner work and getting more clear on my spiritual path and who I was. Had really no interest in a lot of the practical matters about making a living and money and all of this stuff. And when I decided to go into the healing arts, I still didn't really have that much of a concern about those things. I really just wanted it to be passionate about what I did and help people. What I realized, though, very quickly once I started my practice was because I had such a lack of business skill, I was going to struggle and it was going to be a painful process. So my value system started to shift tremendously once I graduated with my master's degree and started a practice. And I started to really develop this passion for marketing and entrepreneurship. And long story short, that's how I've ended up here today. What I've done in kind of a unique way is fuse these two worlds together, where I really come at marketing and business from a more spiritual or emotional perspective, as well as the systemization, the practical action steps you need to take to get to where you want to be. And I think for you guys, for my audience, that tends to resonate on a pretty deep level. If we just talk about marketing, if we just talk about making money, it kind of is a turnoff, right? I mean, it feels like a little mechanical and kind of dry and boring, or just doesn't really align with what we want to do in the world. So my goal is to help you learn to love marketing, to develop a passion for it, just as you have a passion for your clinical skills and the craft that you offer this world. If we can get you passionate about getting your message out there and impacting more lives, that is what's going to, for many of you guys, be the missing link, the kind of golden ticket to the success that you're looking for. That was certainly the case for me, and it continues to be so. And I'll share a little bit more about my story as we go along here in that context. But I currently live in Boulder, Colorado, with my wife, Carrie, and my two kids, Juniper and Ezra. And my passion outside of work is tennis. I'm a huge tennis addict. I always say it's my drug of choice. And I tell myself, well, there could be worse addictions, right? So I'm not doing too bad there. But I really believe all of us need at least one thing that gets us out of our head, anchors us in our body, takes us into a different mode of reality. And for me, that's definitely tennis. I love it. And mostly what I want to suggest about my story, out of all the trials, tribulations, struggles, breakthroughs that I've had in my own business, I'm really just passionate about helping you, which is why I've brought you to this webinar. I want to make sure you get the right support, the right framework, the right resources to move forward quickly. So I really consider this presentation to be probably more powerful and more content rich than your entire practice management education in school. I've heard that feedback many, many times from similar webinars like this. And that's really my goal. I want to make sure you really understand marketing and that you get down to a science how you attract clients in a very powerful, predictable, systematic way. Okay. So with that said, let me ask you this. And I want you to be very honest with yourself about this question and really go deeply and contemplate the answers to this question, okay? Have you experienced any of these particular frustrations in your business? You know you're good at what you do, but you just can't seem to get your message out there to the world. That gets really frustrating, right? Like you know you have a gift for your clinical skills, but you just can't figure out how to get more people exposed to what you do. That's an extremely common issue. Or you don't bring in new clients or patients in a consistent and predictable way. So I call this the practice roller coaster, where you feel like your practice is a continual up and down process. And it's kind of groundless, it feels unstable, and there's this kind of low-grade anxiety permeating the entire experience. We want to get you off of that roller coaster, and that's really what systematizing what you do is about, is giving you consistent, predictable results and understanding things from more of a numbers or a scientific perspective in the way that you build your business rather than keeping it wide open and just guesswork. And we call this fingers crossed marketing, where you have this meditate and they will come attitude, or you rely too heavily on referrals and you have no control over the process of bringing in new clients. And that's my next point. You rely really heavily on referrals, but you're just not getting enough of them in the door. So if you're relying almost exclusively on word of mouth right now, there's a really good chance that your practice feels like it's growing a lot slower than you'd like it to. And that can be really frustrating. And perhaps you attract too many clients who are looking for a miracle or who just don't really get what you do or how your process works. Also very common. So do you attract clients who come in for one or two sessions, their arms are kind of crossed in this proverbially defensive stance, they're like skeptical, and you're kind of guilty until proven innocent, and they don't really give it a fair shot. And they're just not that fulfilling to work with, right? So that happens a lot too. And also that you may feel that you need to lower your prices in order to get more clients. So are you running on like the Groupon model right now, the discount model? And that feels like the only way you can build your business is to be the cheapest business in town for what you do. So we definitely want to snap you out of that mentality and get you pretty much in the exact opposite space, where you're commanding high value, high prices for what you do as a total reflection of what you uniquely have to offer, okay? So there are myriad frustrations we can experience running a business. And my goal for you is, here's the way I look at it. There's this ratio of risk to reward when you build a practice, right? The risk is that it is inherently kind of unstable sometimes. It feels kind of groundless. You don't have anybody outside of you to rely on for your paycheck. It's really entirely up to you to figure out how to make this thing work. So there is always risk you're incurring in that process, no matter what. Of course, what we can do is optimize your chances of success, optimize the entire process so it removes a tremendous amount of the risk. But since you are incurring an inevitable amount of risk, you also want the reward of running a business to equal that. So if it feels like it's pretty risky right now and you're not really tasting the reward, we need to shift you out of that mindset and get you reconnected with your ultimate vision, with what your ideal practice really looks like. So you have that in mind and you're always connected with what your true purpose is in this work and what the outcome is that you're looking for in your lifestyle, okay? If you don't have that in mind, a lot of the risks you're going to incur in building your business are going to feel really stressful and heavy, kind of burdensome. So I hope that makes sense. And that is one of my goals in this webinar, is to help you paint a picture of what you're really looking for, and even to stretch your vision of what's possible. That if you're stuck in survival mode right now, you're happy just making 30,000 a year, or just struggling to get those 15 clients a week, and it's, kind of this limiting process for you. We want to really expand you out of that vision and get you to a place where you're owning an energy, a felt sense of true prosperity in your work, whatever that looks like to you. And that's in no way greedy. It's in no way self-serving. It's totally based on helping other people and bringing as much value as you can to this world and getting compensated extremely well as a result. You're not going to hear that kind of feedback from a lot of colleagues and students and mentors in your profession, quite simply because a lot of them never learned how to market either, and a lot of them are not entrepreneurs. And a lot of people come into schools to teach because they themselves could not build a successful practice. And a lot of them transfer this kind of limiting mindset onto the students. And then guess what? The students graduate from their training program, they go out into the real world, and they take all of those kind of limiting models and blueprints, and they basically get that validated back to them because they don't really have the right belief system to work for them rather than against them. So here's the deal. If you actually implement what I'm going to suggest to you today, I'm extremely optimistic about your future. I really am. And I want you to really take that in, that there's a lot to be optimistic about in what you're doing. If you're out there helping people on a deep, authentic level, you deserve to be compensated really well for that. And there's something inherently optimistic about that. We just need to make sure that you have the right skill set and the right knowledge as a complement to those clinical skills, okay? Now, with that said, 80% of small businesses, it's widely documented, do fail within the first 5 years. We want to make sure you do not fall into that category, first of all, at all. But I want you to know that this is not something you need to be afraid of or intimidated by. So yes, most small businesses do fail. And in fact, holistic practitioners and health professionals are right along these lines from what I've noticed. The vast majority of them actually do go out of business within 5 years, or they're doing it very part-time, or they're just not very profitable. I mean, that's actually the norm. But I want you to know there are concrete reasons why that happens. It's not a mystery. And if you understand those reasons, well, guess what? You never have to really worry about this because you'll have solutions in place to completely overcome them. And it's really not even that big of a deal. So, of course, one of the biggest things we look at is that we're just not getting enough clients in the door, which is going to cause financial strain. And that's no fun. I mean, that gets really stressful. Or people aren't getting enough clients in the door. Or I'm sorry, the right clients in the door. So they might be getting enough of them, but they're getting too many that just aren't a very good fit for what they do. And that leads to burnout and a lack of fulfillment. Or they just feel overwhelmed wearing all of the hats in their business. And they're trying to do too much. They're trying to put out all these fires, and they're just multitasking to the extreme. So in all of these equations, though, there's a certain kind of burnout that occurs, and people eventually give up, and they lose touch with that reward of running a business, and all of the risks and the stressors start to pile on them, and they say, you know what, forget it. I can't do this anymore. Just take me back to my normal job, right? So we want to make sure that from this webinar, you overcome these major obstacles and hurdles, and that you have a truly clear blueprint about how to do what you love doing in your career for the rest of your life. There's really not much more of that that's important in life than that, I think. So if you look at all these issues, though, what I want you to really get clear on is that these are all actually byproducts of a deeper issue. So not getting enough clients, not getting the right clients, getting overwhelmed in your business, not making enough money, getting burned out, all of this is actually symptomatic of a deeper core issue. And that's what we're going to get into today. And it really has to do with developing the skill set of a marketer and an entrepreneur in your work, okay? If you have that skill set developed, it pretty much overcomes all of these major challenges and symptoms that you might face in your practice, all right? So I want that to be really, really clear by the time we wrap this up today. And there really is a science behind solving these widespread problems, and that's what we're going to be covering in a lot of depth today. But it's also the case that there's a 99% chance you never learn this in your clinical training, which is a big reason why you may feel some of the stress, the limits, or struggle that you currently do. Now, for some of you guys, that stress is at an all-time high. It's acute, and it's really at the surface. Like, it's pretty extreme, right? For others, it's more of this low grade, just kind of fight or flight, kind of low grade adrenal fatigue, where your practice is generally a little bit more of a sense of burden, and it kind of weighs on you rather than like a source of freedom and like happiness and prosperity in your life. So we want to do everything we can to have your business really be a source of joy to you. So it's not only about like making more money and getting more clients. It's like that if we did like a truly deep like internal audit of your emotions and your story about your business, it would be very, very positive. You would have a strongly positive association with the work that you're doing in this world. So what I'm going to do, you guys, is cover 3 core steps that you can take to double your practice in 90 days. And what you're going to see is that this truly is a fusion of inner and outer work. It's about doing the inner mindset training and then getting the right outer systems in place. And it's really, I find that to be the sweet spot that gives us the results that we're looking for as quickly as possible, okay? So my first step for you is to make sure that you're doing the inner work of exposing and liberating limiting beliefs around self-worth and money. So I'm going to spend a little time talking about this because to me, this is the entry point into all good marketing, into running a successful business, to being truly fulfilled in what you do, okay? It really revolves around this concept. So there are many storylines that we tell ourselves, many beliefs we hold on to about who we are, what money means to us, how much value we have to bring to the world. And all of these beliefs have more or less been pumped into us from our parents, our teachers growing up, religious figures, the media, and we're all inundated with these beliefs over and over again. And especially in the society that we live in now, there are so many messages that we get that suggest that being a business owner is a really scary process, and basically that it's a struggle, that it's really hard, it's stressful, and that money is this source of scarcity. Money is this source of stress in our lives. So we see that kind of reinforced in a variety of ways around us, right? What I'm going to suggest is that everything that we see in our reality is totally a reflection of what we believe to be true about these topics. So if we're clinging to these limiting beliefs around money, well, guess what? The universe is going to accurately 100% of the time mirror that back to us in the form of limiting circumstances, okay? So this is why this topic is so important, that you really can't get good at marketing and client attraction and even offering like a really deep and potent level of service to your clients if you're holding on to a poverty mindset, if you're stuck in these limiting beliefs around money and self-worth. So I want you to take a look at some of these kind of mantras that we tell ourselves a lot of the time and just kind of assess which ones you tend to buy into more than others, okay? Oh, people can't afford my service right now, or I shouldn't expect to do what I love and get paid really well. That would be greedy. I'm not in this for the money. I only care about helping people. That's all I care about. Don't care about the money at all. Since not enough clients are coming in, that means I'm not that skilled on a clinical level. So a lot of us start to doubt our clinical abilities if we're not able to attract enough patients, and I consider that a tragedy. Because a lot of the time, it actually has nothing to do with that. It's like your clinical skills aren't even the issue. It's your marketing skills. Or I have to take insurance in order to survive. There's no way people would pay cash in this economy. Or in this economy, it's impossible to truly prosper. So, I mean, we have endless examples, right? Money doesn't grow on trees. Money's the root of all evil. Can't do what I love and expect to get paid really well. We have countless examples of how these limiting money beliefs plant themselves in our minds over and over again every day. So I want you to spend some time this week writing down what you've been taught to believe about money. And I want you to deeply examine whether those beliefs are actually true or not. So a lot of us, it's very interesting to me, a lot of us come into the healing professions with a very high level of awareness about so many facets of our lives in terms of our own spiritual path, our health and wellness, what kind of impact we want to make in the world. But a lot of us have, for some reason or another, been conditioned to believe that the money topic is inherently unspiritual, that we really shouldn't value it, and that it's really uncomfortable to even talk about it, like it's almost taboo. And I really want to help you overcome that issue, because if you can really welcome money into the conversation and start to embrace it energetically on a totally new and more open level, well, it'll start to show up in your life in totally new ways. That's certainly been my experience. And once again, that has nothing to do with being greedy or selfish. It's actually just the opposite. So I take a stance on this, that if you're holding on to limiting beliefs, if you're stuck in survival mode and poverty mindset, well, guess what? There's a certain kind of selfishness in that, because what happens is you will never be able to help as many people as you could if you had a truly abundant mindset about what you do. So it's actually putting the clamp on your own potential and how many people you can impact in the world to hold on to those limiting beliefs, okay? So let's talk a little bit more about why you need to transform your relationship with money. You'll always make the amount of money that you believe you're worth. There's a direct correlation 100% of the time between the amount of money you're making now and what you believe to be true about yourself. So if you've been stuck making 30,000, 50,000, 100,000 a year in your practice, whatever it is, but there's always this feeling like, I know I could do more than this, or it's frustrating. Why can't I break free from this cycle? Well, the truth of the matter is that you're holding on to core beliefs that are based on making that amount of money. So we call that your financial blueprint. We are all set to a certain kind of financial set point in our lives. And a lot of the inner work is about busting out of that set point and expanding it, growing it. And what a lot of people do is try to put that, they externalize that whole process. So they take all this action, they try all these new things, they invest in this next gadget, to try to get better, the next piece of technology to enhance their clinical skills, the next seminar. But underlying that, they're holding on to some really core limiting beliefs around money and self-worth, and they never break free out of that set income, okay? So that's a huge reason why it's so important. Investing in and developing your clinical or marketing skills will never actually work all that well if your financial belief system is broken right now. So if you're holding on to all these limiting kind of trauma-based beliefs around money, and you have all these safety issues, security issues around money and what that reflects back to you, well, you can go out there and try every marketing strategy in the book to get more patients. Some of it may sort of work, some of it won't work, but the overall tone of it will be based on stress and willpower. And that was definitely my experience in my practice when I started off until this kind of clicked for me. So we really want to make sure that you're doing that inner work of getting clear on what you believe to be true around your finances, around what you believe to be true around your own self-worth, and that will immediately start to shift things in your outer world, okay? Now, this is also a very interesting one. Your clients or your patients can energetically sense how prosperous/abundant or how contracted you are with money right now. So sometimes this is very subtle, and it happens on more or less of a subconscious level. So it's not like the client is thinking in their mind like, oh, Dr. So-and-so is really kind of a stingy person or something like that. It's just more of a deeper energy they get. And I really believe that each one of us is kind of fundamentally putting out to our environment an attractive and expansive energy, or a repelling and contractive energy. And so what we're talking about here is training yourself to reside on a level that welcomes people in, that's attractive, where people are magnetized to what you do. And so much of that has to do with your relationship with money and self-worth. It really does. Limiting money beliefs can literally block you from attracting your ideal clients and creating your ideal life. So they can be that profound and that powerful. So if we're holding on to these subconscious lingering beliefs around money, that can be the number one block that we're facing in our life to actually creating what we want, to having the level of fulfillment and freedom that we want through our work, in our relationships, in our health, and so on. So I look at money very much as just a symbol. It's a way of kind of keeping score of how we're doing in our life. And all of us have been pumped full of limiting beliefs around money. Like pretty much everybody on this webinar has, if we're really honest about that. Occasionally, very rarely, people are raised by parents that are just totally free in this way and have like very little hang up about it. But 99% of us, we grew up with a pretty deep blueprint that money is a limiting factor. Money is a source of stress. And if it weren't for money, man, my life would be great. So I want to help you transform all of that and shift out of that kind of mindset, okay? So your practice is always going to be a very direct mirror for what you believe to be true. I think that practice, marriage, and parenting are probably the three most powerful mirrors we have to really get to know ourselves on a deeper level and to see what's actually taking place in our own mind. Your spouse, your kids, your clients, they will always reinforce back to you what you believe to be true, okay? So what I've discovered is that just becoming aware of this process and what's actually running us is literally about 80% of the healing process. That oftentimes we really don't have to do that much with these limiting beliefs and these kind of demons that run us. We don't really have to do that much with them. We just have to see them clearly. We have to shed the light of awareness on them and have the courage and the honesty to do that. So one thing we can do, though, that really makes this practical and grounds it into our daily life is have a daily success ritual that liberates us from these beliefs and helps us directly experience this very natural state of purpose and confidence that is who we really are and that commands value in your market. So when I was studying like Buddhism and a lot of the Eastern traditions, throughout many of these traditions, there's this universal notion that we all have this innate nature that is basically good, that is intelligent, that is infinite in its power and scope, and that it's basically problem free, and that all of our problems that we think that are real are just thoughts. They're just illusions. All of our beliefs that cause self-imposed limitations on our life, they're just myths. They're not really there. They're just illusions. And that who we really are is this innately powerful being that has a tremendous amount to offer this world. So I believe this is where we can integrate our own kind of spiritual and emotional path directly into our business, because to the extent that we're really identified with that in the context of work and money and livelihood, along with the other themes of our life, well, our business will benefit tremendously from that. Our clients will be so much more attracted to what we have to offer. And a lot of that really does happen on more of an energetic level. It really does. So when people come to your website for the first time, or they see a brochure, or they pick up your business card, or even when a current client of yours tells that person about you, there's an energetic draw or resistance to that always. So when they hit that website for the first time, there's going to be something in their brain and their consciousness that says yes to this or no. And a lot of this happens just on a totally energetic level. It's not even about like what you say on your website or how much your service is or any of the logistics. It's an energy that people pick up on that makes them drawn in and attracted to what you offer, or makes them feel like, not now. I think I'll pass. Or let me think about this. Let me sit on this. Looks kind of interesting, but I think I'll hold off. So I really believe that reconnecting with our kind of essential nature in the context of our livelihood and reclaiming our power in life is one of the most powerful steps we can ever take to more effortlessly build the business that we want. So in my experience, I just want to share this really, really quickly to ground this story in. I mentioned that I had this kind of uncanny, almost kind of mystical experience where my practice doubled in about 2 weeks. So for the first 2 years I was out there after I graduated, the belief that I formed, very limiting belief, was that I had to basically abandon everything that I had learned about doing the inner work and about mindset training and my own spiritual practices and awareness, because now it was time to get responsible, take massive action in the world, like really figure out, all the nuts and bolts of being like a functioning person in society like I never have before. So I was like, okay, well, it's kind of one or the other. I have to let all that stuff go now. And now I have to use all this willpower to go out there and try to get what I want, right? So I did that for a couple of years. And I worked really hard at marketing my practice. I really did. I put everything that I could into it. I did networking groups. I did speaking. I tried different ads. I tried to do as much as I could to retain patients. But you know what? The vast majority of it was based on willpower. It was kind of a forceful process for me. And after 2 years, I was still only seeing 15 to 20 patients, maybe 22 patients a week. And I had much loftier goals than that. And I was starting to get really frustrated by that process because I was like, man, I'm working so hard at this thing. And yeah, I'm doing better than a lot of people I know, some colleagues, but still this feels really limiting to me. What the hell is going on? I really came to that place where I got totally exhausted by that model, right? And I think a lot of us on this webinar are probably there right now to some extent or another, where we've tried different things. We've put a lot of willpower into this, and maybe we've actually forgotten ourselves on a certain level and this kind of innate power we have to really proactively and intentionally create the life that we want, the business that we want. So at 2 years in, through nothing but basically exhaustion and kind of desperation, I had this kind of surrendering process where I was just like, you know what? I'm going to take a leap of faith, and I'm not going to do anything that I normally do for about a 3 to 4 day process. I'm not going to think about my business in the normal way. I'm not going to go out there and quote unquote try really hard anymore. I'm going to just let all that die. And I did. I basically didn't see patients for 2 or 3 days during the week. I think it was a 3-day period. And I just locked myself in my office. And I spent those 3 days reconnecting with myself and meditating again and doing these things that I had basically abandoned because I thought I had to be successful in life, right? So I did a lot of like inner work on clarifying who I really wanted to work with, what my ideal practice really looked like. And I just did some basic visualization stuff around like anchoring this in now as if it's here with me already. And I was just getting in this felt sense of like, all of this is already here on a quantum level. It's already here. It's just about actualizing it in the material world because I can see it really clearly when I drop all the crap around it, right? And I totally could. Like I felt it. I got reinvigorated by that. And I just did that for a couple of days. And I didn't do anything else. So I just kind of let all that go. I was like, whatever, we'll see what happens. Probably not much. Didn't have any expectations at all. And lo and behold, for the next 2 weeks, my phone was just absolutely ringing off the hook. And I wasn't doing anything differently at all. In fact, I was doing less than I had ever done. And all of a sudden, all these new patients started showing up. And I went from seeing 20 patients a week to 40 within a couple of weeks. And that showed me like very clearly. So like, first of all, I'm not really like a woo-woo guy. I'm not like a new agey guy. I don't really like dwell on that level so much. I mean, I'm certainly looking at things. I try to look at things in a very deep way and like really look at the energy behind everything and look at things on a quantum level. What that experience showed me though is how powerful that actually is and how easy it is in our materialistic Western society to just ignore that, especially in the context of money and business. Especially in those contexts, because we think it's irresponsible almost to like sometimes surrender our agenda and just get really clear on who we are and what we want, right? So that gave me so much faith and confidence to never let that go again. To like always have a daily practice where I'm reinventing myself and getting extremely clear on what I want, anchoring that into my mind now as if it's here already, and really kind of putting it out there intentionally as if it's not coming from a place of lack. It's coming from a place of, what, on a basic level, this is already with me. It's just reverse engineering it so it comes back into the material world. That's all. So from there, I never looked back. At that point, I hired a business coach, got more interested in internet marketing, did a lot of like advertising online and search engine optimization. And then I scaled my practice up to as much as I could ever possibly handle. And I could share more, but I think that gives you enough of my story there. But that shows you the importance of doing some of that inner work. So as I said, that was my experience doubling my practice within a couple of weeks, really without changing anything on the outside. It's pretty interesting. So before we get into the next step that I want you to take, I want you to just really focus on this whole concept this week, okay? Where are you at in this process right now? You've been brought to this webinar for a reason. And I'm sure you really want, to have a high level of success. You're interested in learning how to be a better marketer. You want more clients. You want to make more money. All of this is good and it's fine. But are you still really connected with yourself in the context of your business? Have you lost some of your power? Is it time to reclaim some of that power and just get this daily success ritual in place so you can first of all see very clearly where you're at right now and what beliefs are running you and the impact of those beliefs on your life? And then you can start to assess, is this actually true? Are these beliefs actually real? Or were they just pumped inside of me and it's time now through the light of awareness to shed them, to just liberate them? And like I said, a lot of the times when we're ready and there's an awareness there, it just happens spontaneously. We don't really have to do so much with those things as we do just become extremely clear that they're there and set really strong intentions to clear them out, just affirming for ourselves that we're ready to do it. There's always a payoff for staying stuck in limiting beliefs. There's always a payoff for being immersed in struggle in life. What is that payoff? It validates our identity, right? It validates what we believe to be true about ourselves. And it gives us a false sense of ground to stand on and a sense of certainty. So when we do this work, there's always a kind of underlying fear based on the uncertainty of our situation that we have to be willing to lean into and say, yes, I'm ready for this. Otherwise, what we're going to do, our ego is going to hold on violently to what we know is true, to what we believe to be true, and that's basically about maintaining the status quo. So once again, your practice is always going to be a very clear mirror for where you're at in this process. And if you want to go to a higher level, like really fast in your business, I guarantee you there is something inside of you right now that actually doesn't want that, that actually wants to stay stuck, that actually is okay with mediocrity, that doesn't really want rapid change. We all have it. So how good are we at exposing the light of awareness on that thing, bringing it out to conscious awareness, and then making a conscious choice to not buy into it and to lean into the fear we feel of going through sometimes massive processes of uncertainty in our lives. That's really what building a successful business is. It's leaping into the unknown and constantly pushing the edge of what's possible. And you go from a place of feeling like kind of a victim to that, like it's really scary, and you kind of make excuses as to why you can't do that. And eventually, the longer you do it, your tolerance for that whole model just dies because it's not sustainable to do that for year after year. And instead, it gets replaced by this curiosity of, wow, I had no idea I was capable of creating something so powerful here. What would the next phase of this look like? How do I keep pushing the edge of what's possible? And you're always dancing with a certain kind of fear and uncertainty in doing that. I mean, I still do. Even with all the breakthroughs I've had in my business, there are always higher levels to go to. There's always a bigger impact I could make in this world. And for me to make that impact, it's always about dancing with my fear, right? And the uncertainty of going to that next level. So whether you're at 5 clients a week right now, or 100 or 200 or whatever you're looking to do, what does that next phase look like for you? And what is the resistance to going there now? Where is that voice inside of you that says, maybe not. Maybe I really don't want that, because where I feel right now, even though it causes me some stress and it's hard, it's safe. It gives me a sense of security, right? So this week, before we move on, once again, I just want to make sure you deeply contemplate this in your own life. Don't just skirt it over and say, okay, Kevin, get to the marketing stuff. Like really spend some time with this, okay? So with that said, let's move onwards. We have a lot more to cover. I'm going to grab a quick sip of water, and we're going to shift gears quite dramatically here. So now that we've laid the ground of doing some of the inner work, what we really want to focus on is creating marketing systems that attract the right people to your services in a predictable and automated fashion. Now, this is a brilliant process. It really is when you get it dialed in, because it truly does alleviate so much of the stress you feel running a business. If you can automate things and have there be predictable outcomes in what you do, well, guess what? You get to sleep better at night. You have more peace of mind. You know where your business is going, where it's trending. And that is, if you can get that down to more or less a science, that alleviates this kind of just underlying sense of anxiety about the process on a really deep level. It's awesome. Now, here's one of the biggest mistakes that a lot of us have been taught to make. We assume that word of mouth referrals will be enough to build our business if we're really good at what we do. If we're skilled in our craft, then all of our patients are just basically going to rave about us and tell everybody they know, and we'll fill our entire practice with awesome, ideal clients, and it'll happen fast. Well, yeah, here's the deal with that. It does happen sometimes. I've certainly heard from practitioners who tell me that they built their entire practice, like this big 6-7 figure practice, all from word of mouth. And they're like, you don't need to market. It's all kind of a myth and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, well, yeah, okay. I totally hear where you're coming from. But for that person, first of all, that's not the norm. That is totally an exception. That kind of person is somebody who is an extrovert, first of all. They're highly charismatic. They're really good at connecting with people and building rapport. And even if they're not that great at their clinical skills, just because they know how to connect with people really well, and they can be like friends with their patients a lot of the time, and just like they can create this atmosphere of buzz around what they do, they're going to be really busy. So we sometimes call them like fire constitutions, right? Like they just have like really strong like heart energy about them, and they know how to connect with people. So honestly, you guys, most of us, including myself, that's not really our personality. That's actually kind of rare to be that kind of person. It really is. Most of us aren't going to build a highly successful business relying that heavily on word of mouth. We need to leverage other skills. And that's where the marketing skill set comes in, okay? Now, you can certainly build a successful practice largely through word of mouth, but what I'm going to suggest is that it's going to take you a lot longer to do on your own, like vastly longer than if you get the right marketing systems in place. And that'll become more clear as we progress onwards. Now, don't get me wrong, referrals are great, and you should definitely have a lot of them coming in, but you don't want to rely exclusively on word of mouth, because ultimately you have no control over this, and it will lead to frustration and confusion and honestly pain for a lot of practices. I've worked with many who feel that way. So what marketing systems do is they give you peace of mind, like true peace of mind. And as I mentioned at the beginning of this webinar, very few business owners actually have that, like on a deep core level. And that's what you want. You want true peace of mind in what you do, so you can relax. You can live your life. You can enjoy your kids. You can spend time with your spouse, do your hobbies, and not have your business weighing on you saying, oh my gosh, where am I going to get my next clients from? How do I sustain what I'm doing? Next month isn't looking so good. That gets really old, right? It really does. So we want to get systems in place. And what these systems do is they basically like flip the light switch on in our business of exposure, of visibility, okay? Now, before we discuss your marketing systems, there are some foundational elements that we want to have in place. We've already covered one of those, which is your mindset. Because before you can market really effectively, your mind has to be working for you rather than against you. You can't put out this intention to the world to grow and to be really successful if you're holding on to these limiting beliefs about yourself and money and what sort of value you bring to the world, right? Like there's a total lack of congruency there. So we just want to make sure that foundationally you're on the right page there, okay? The second foundational element, though, is I want you to get extremely clear about who your ideal client is. I want you to know exactly who this person is. And so this week, as an exercise, I want you to get out pen and paper or just get on your keyboard, whatever works, and write down in depth who your ideal client is. So we call this your ideal client avatar. And I want you to do a few different things in this regard. First of all is write down all of the typical demographics about this person. Where do they, what kind of work do they do? How old are they? Are they generally male or female? Give them a name. Call them Jane or Bob or somebody. Like personify them as much as you can. Do they have kids? What's their income level? Write down all of the basic stuff about this person, okay? The second part, and each one of these is going to get sequentially more powerful in terms of what it does for you and your marketing. The second part is to identify exactly what their pains and challenges are. What is motivating them to seek treatment from you, to seek your care? So whether that's conditions or more general pain, life challenges or pains they're experiencing, what is it exactly that is causing them to seek out your services? So get very, very clear on that, okay? The third component of this is to write down what is your client's story that they are telling themselves about their pain. What is their client's story about their pain? Meaning, what sort of like emotional significance are they giving their pain? What sort of meaning are they imparting to their pain? So that can take a wide array of different scenarios, right? Some people feel very empowered and inspired, and they look at their pain as a teacher, as a lesson, as a gift even of sorts. Some people look at their pain as just the worst curse and burden that they could ever experience. So if they're coming to you and they're investing in your services, how are they relating to their pain right now? And this is your ideal client, right? Like in an ideal sense, how do you want this person showing up in relation to their pain? The third component is, what do they expect from you? What are they investing in? So is it just to eliminate their pain? Is it just to annihilate their discomfort in life? Or are they looking for something deeper? Like on a core level, are they looking for some sort of transformational process? What is that? Can you document that? Can you show me really, really clearly the process, almost down to like a poetic sense of what you do to help people and the transformational journey you take them through? So if you can't articulate that to yourself, don't expect clients to show up and want that from you. That's why I'm having you do this. And a lot of us, we're just never taught to do this. And we go out into practice and we think, well, I'm an acupuncturist. I take away pain. I'm a chiropractor. I relieve headaches, and that's just what I do. But if you are really, really clear about the actual deeper process you want to take your clients through, well, guess what? You're going to naturally start attracting people who want that from you, where their core desires align with what you're very best at, with what you're most passionate about. Because a lot of you probably didn't get into this field to just annihilate pain or to just be a technician. Some of you did, and that's absolutely fine. I honestly have nothing against that whatsoever. But I know that for a lot of the folks that I bring onto these webinars and my audience, they're looking for something a little deeper in their work with clients, right? So what does that look like to you? Get extremely vivid in describing that. And by doing that, you now are setting a precedent in who you attract to your work. And it's going to be a lot more intentional. So then the next step is you want to structure your website to speak to this person and only this person in a way that builds goodwill, conveys value, and enables you to stay in touch with them indefinitely. So what you want to do is use your website as a tool to build trust, rapport, stay in touch with this person, nurture a relationship with them, convey expertise, and show them that you are the ideal solution for what they have going on. So if you can first articulate this to yourself, all of these different components of your ideal client, and then you can structure the homepage of your website to articulate that back to them in a really powerful way, they're going to read that and say, this is what I've been looking for. This makes total sense to me. That's good marketing right there. What do most people do on their websites? They say the same thing as everybody else. They have the same images as everybody else. They use the same template as everybody else. If you don't do anything to stand out in your marketplace, you're not going to have any competitive advantage. And people are not going to understand why they should be with you versus the other 80 naturopaths in their area or chiropractors, whoever it is, right? So you want to get extremely clear on these things. These are foundational elements to your marketing success. And like I said, it's not your fault if you've never done this or you've never thought of it in this way. It's just that you were never taught this. You were never taught this. And these are just basic components of being good at marketing, all right? So I hope this makes sense. If you have questions about this, let me know, and I'm happy to help you out. And we'll get to those at the end of the webinar today, all right? So with that said, let's talk a little bit about your website. So this is still kind of the foundation of your marketing. So I look at your website as the hub around which you market your business. Everything that you do to promote your business should revolve around your website, okay? So your website needs to be set up as basically like an automated 24/7 sales machine that does the heavy lifting of converting interested prospects into paying clients or patients. And any marketing strategy you use out there, I don't care what it is, needs to revolve around your website. That's good marketing. It systematizes a lot of what you do, it organizes it, and it helps you to build a database of people that you can stay in touch with. Otherwise, you're missing out, and you're going to be frenetic and all over the place in your attempts to get new clients and to retain them and to educate them effectively. So given how powerful, how important your website is, let's share just a few of the main elements on your site that you need to have for it to convert really well, okay? So that's when I use that term convert or conversion, what I'm talking about is when you drive visitors to your site, that a high percentage of them take that next step in working with you, that they don't just leave your site, click the back button, and do something else, all right? There are very specific elements we need to see on your site to make that happen. Honestly, you guys, I've reviewed hundreds of holistic healthcare websites from all different modalities across the board. About 3%, I don't want to sound harsh, about 3% have these elements in place. And it's very rare where I come across a site and that has all of what I'm talking about in place. It just doesn't happen all that often. So the first component that I look for is that the site is highly professional, it's easy to navigate, and it has a high-end look and feel. So you want your website to look like the Mercedes of your industry, not the Hyundai. That's a good analogy for it. You don't want to come off as cheap, okay? So I'm not a fan of templates or sites that just are cookie cutter in nature, that look the same as everybody else's. And I totally understand how tempting it is to cut corners on your website and to save a buck or two. But I want you to remember that if you're serious about your business, if you want a 6 to 7 figure business doing what you do, your website is one of the most important investments you will ever make without question. The second component is what I call lead generation. And you want to consider lead generation to be the intermediary step between initial exposure to you and picking up the phone and calling you. So a lot of us don't really get this. And we think that if I run an ad or if somebody's referred to me or however people find out about me, that if they just hear about me, if they get my business card or they go to my website or they see an ad, that they'll just pick up the phone and call. Most people, honestly, that's not how marketing works. They won't do that. Especially in the internet age, the social media age, the average consumer out there is now so much more empowered to make a buying decision because think of it this way. Now they can go on your fan page. They can read your fan page posts. They can download some information off of your website, get on your email list. They can go to your blog. They can watch videos of you on YouTube. So they have all these intermediary steps they can take before they're expected to pick up the phone and call. And what that does is it makes them feel a heck of a lot more confident in wanting to work with you if it's done well, if it's all set up the right way. And that's a lot of what my coaching work focuses on, is getting some of these systems set up so that you are positioning yourself as a clear expert that naturally builds goodwill and trust with people, and that the whole process is more or less automated. So you're not having to manually connect with people over and over and over again. What good lead generation does is it automates so much of the marketing process. Because what you do is you drive your traffic to your website, you get people on your email list, and now they're a lead for you. And now you have a built-in sequence where you can follow up with people, stay in touch with them, build relationships with them. That's good marketing, okay? So that's one of the most important pieces of the puzzle. Social media integration. So I really encourage you to have some social media presence. I know a lot of us still think that like Facebook and Twitter are just these kind of colossal wastes of time where people basically get on there and talk about what their kitten is doing or what they had for lunch, or they post pictures of their niece, and they're like, well, that's cute and it's entertaining, but it has nothing to do with my business. So when I talk about social media, I'm always talking about it in a radically different context than what you've probably heard about it most of the time. And I want you to trust me on that. I pretty much rely on Facebook as the exclusive platform upon which I've built my coaching business. And if I had to start my practice over again, Facebook would without question be my main platform to get new patients in the door, easily. Way better than Google right now, way better than any offline strategy, but it's a total skill that you have to develop. And if you don't want to spend time with it, then you really shouldn't, and you should focus elsewhere. Because you don't want to just use social media in a way that's like, I have to do this because Kevin said so, and you're kind of begrudging about it, and you're just like, I just want to get more clients, right? That doesn't really work. You have to have a passion for it, and I'm going to get a little more into that down the road, okay? But for now, keeping it simple, what I want you to make sure of is that you have follow us icons on your website, and you have a Facebook fan page box. So I'm going to show you a site here in a sec just to kind of ground in the visuals of that. And the last piece, so there are many moving pieces of your site that are very, very important. We don't have time to talk about all that today because it's a big subject. But the last thing I want to make sure of is that you have benefit-oriented copy on your website, and that a lot of your website is focused on the pains and challenges of your visitor and your prospective client, and not so much about you. So if most of your website is about your theory, your office hours, your experience, blah, 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 I want you to shift that up to make it more about them and their pains, their challenges, and how you can help them, okay? It's a big subject, and I just want to plant that seed for now. So let me hop off the PowerPoint real quick and actually grab a quick sip of water. This webinar is completely maxed out right now, which is awesome, and we're already almost an hour in, and I love to see that I'm holding people's attention, it's always a good sign. But can I get a quick show of hands from you guys? Are you enjoying the presentation so far, finding some value in it? Just click your hand icon if you're getting some good insights already, and you're starting to get a sense of just from what we've covered so far about how you want to market more effectively and just scale this thing up. So I see a lot of hands going up. Aaron says yes, Hannah, Jeffrey, Karen Isola, sorry if I'm butchering your name, I tend to do that. Ken, Carrie, Chris, thank you guys all so much. That's awesome. So just one sec, guys. I'm going to grab some water and we'll keep moving forward here. All right, cool. So what I'm going to do is just show you, just for a minute here, one of the websites that we built. So my web designer, Rachel, she does sites for a lot of our clients. And I think her sites are really good because she understands the marketing piece as well as the design piece. And she totally gets what I'm talking about. I've helped her to understand all this over the last several years about exactly what we want to go into a site. So you're going to see a lot of those elements on a site like this. So first of all is the high-end look and feel, like the graphics of this site. And this is drgrodsky.com. He's a naturopath. And across modalities, the same principles apply. So whatever your modality is, a lot of this stuff is going to ring true. So first of all, the look and feel, the colors are bright and vibrant. They gather attention. They capture the eye. And it just stands out. To me, there's maybe a little too much going on the homepage in terms of links that can be clicked on and different bells and whistles. So I might want to tone that down a little bit from a marketing perspective and keep it a little more streamlined. But in general, the look and feel of it is pretty high end. He looks very professional. It's a great headshot. He also has a welcome video on his homepage, which I really like. And then if you look at the opt-in form here, this is where he generates leads through his website. So he gives away a free ebook here called Wellness Without Limits, which is all about natural healthcare, naturopathic medicine, how it can help somebody. Gives away some lifestyle tips and some nutrition tips. So we actually have these products for naturopaths, chiropractors, and acupuncturists right now, where you can co-author this ebook and set it up as a lead generation tool on your website. So what's entailed in that is you write 1 to 5 pages that go in the back of this ebook, and then we basically keep the core document intact. So it makes this process really easy for you. And then you're literally the co-author of your own ebook. And then you can position yourself as an expert through just being an author. Authors always enjoy more authority in the marketplace. And this is just a great tool to generate leads, position yourself in that way. Okay. So there's a lot more I could say about that, but that gives you an understanding of how that works. So that's the lead generation piece. That's one way to do it. Okay. As you set up that opt-in form at the top of the site. The next piece is the social media integration. You can see his Connect with Us buttons here across the top of the site, really easy to see. And then if we scroll down, we also see he has his Facebook fan page box here, so I can like his fan page right from his website. So I don't have to be on Facebook, okay, which is a really good touch. And then we also see a quick example here of some benefit-oriented copy. You're likely here right now because you're ready to experience greater physical or emotional health. Maybe you struggle with chronic aches and pains. You're finding it difficult to turn your mind off and deeply relax. Blah, 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 right? So he's talking to them, though. He's using you, like he's talking to his visitor instead of making it about him. So a lot of his homepage is focused on that, okay? And there's definitely like an art and a science to writing good copy like this. And every practice is a little different. This is definitely something I help a lot of my clients with in a pretty customized way, all right? Because it's really important, like what you say to people and how you articulate your value to them on the homepage in particular of your website, all right? So I don't have too much time to analyze this, sites in depth and to give you like a lot of extra tips on that because of time constraints today. But what I can say is implement these ideas first. And then if you do need help with your website and you either need an overhaul of your current site or you need a new site, period, I definitely recommend you do that. That would be really good. You can go to dreampracticewebsites.com and you can click the contact button here and set up a free consult with my web designer, Rachel. And she'll spend 15-20 minutes on the phone with you, basically sharing how she can help you with your web presence, design a site that looks really strong. And every client pretty much that has worked with Rachel over the past year and a half has just raved about it. She is one of those rare web designers that is actually responsive and does exactly what you're looking for. She's super attentive to your needs. And she also understands web design from a marketing perspective, not just a technical perspective, which is why I really like her. So she's been a great resource. So follow up with her. It's dreampracticewebsites.com/contact. If you wanted to grab a consult with Rachel, you can schedule with her right there. Okay. All right, cool, guys. Well, let's keep moving on. So we have now this idea that your website needs to be this 24/7 sales machine set up for maximum conversions, position you as an authority and trusted expert. Now what we want to do is focus on driving a lot of traffic and getting a lot of exposure to that site. And that's really your goal, is to make your website as heavily trafficked with high quality leads and traffic as you possibly can. So there are many, many ways, like dozens of ways you can gain exposure for your work. Through my coaching experience over the past 7-8 years and through my own practice and my own business, I've tested many different ways to do this. And I definitely have my own preferences and what I think is proven to work at this time. So I'm going to give you a quick overview of all of the different marketing strategies that I would put your focus on. And please know that every one of these is a unique skill set unto itself. So just knowing that like, oh, blogging is good isn't enough. You actually have to develop the skill of a blogger if you want blogging to work for you. It's not like terribly difficult to do, but a lot of us just jump kind of casually into these strategies, and we think that's going to be enough, just kind of superficially skimming the issue there or the topic. So a lot of what good coaching should do for you is help you develop these skill sets a heck of a lot faster than you would on your own, so you see results way faster. So that's a lot of what I focus on with my clients. So we all know that word of mouth referrals is a big one. That's a given. Advertising is definitely one of my top strategies without question for any kind of business. Small business, practice, doesn't matter. You need to learn how to advertise as one of the systems you want in place. And it's a very powerful strategy, way more powerful than referrals if you do it correctly, because the number of people you can impact through advertising way outnumbers what you could ever get in your private practice through referrals, okay? Just one second, guys. Hold on. The webinar is beeping at me here, so I'm just going to cancel out of something. Oh, it's just saying that the webinar has maxed out its capacity, so no problem there. That's a good thing. So advertising we're going to get into in just a little bit of depth here in a second. Networking, so that's where you join networking groups like BNI or Chamber of Commerce meetings, and you use other members in the group to get more leads and referrals. Media, reaching out to local newspapers, publications, even local television stations can be very, very effective for quickly gaining a lot of exposure. Health fairs. So same as networking, same as a lot of these offline strategies. It's always great to get out there in the community, hand out a lot of cards, shake a lot of hands, have selling conversations and so on. Video. So that's where you use online video to set up on your homepage of your website or your about page. Also shooting search engine optimized videos that you post on YouTube to rank well for keywords that are directly relevant to your practice growth. And video is awesome for expert positioning. Blogging and search engine optimization, so ranking strategically for various keywords that people type in using your blog and just various SEO tactics. Big strategy there. I relied heavily on that when I was building my practice. Social media, so just using the whole gamut of sites like Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and LinkedIn and so on to build your practice. Definitely specific skill set to learn there, especially on Facebook. That's really where I recommend you put your focus right now. Cross promotion, that's where you set up mutual referral systems with other complementary practice or business owners in your area. So if you're an acupuncturist, setting up a cross referral system with a dentist or a chiropractor or a gym in your local area, or if you're a chiropractor, setting it up with a naturopath or a psychotherapist or whatever, right? So you have a team of 8 to 10 other allied businesses that you can cross refer with. That works really, really well. And then public speaking. So setting up a speaking gig in your local area once a month, whether that's in office or at a library, a health food store, wherever it is, okay? That works also extremely well. It's a great system to get in place. So what I want you to keep in mind, though, when you look at some of these main strategies, and keep in mind there are many others, but these are some of the big ones, is that all of this should really revolve around your website. Everything you're doing to build your business, you see that your website is the hub of all of this. It's meant to do all of the heavy lifting for you through all of these strategies. And that's where a lot of us are kind of screwing it up in our marketing, where we're trying too hard, we're not seeing results, we're disorganized, it's inconsistent. You need to automate a lot of this, and your website is meant to be a tool to help you to do that, okay? That's where the internet age, online technology, should be a tremendous asset to any business owner. Whether we philosophically agree with social media or the internet in general, you need to know it's there as a potentially very powerful ally, asset for your business, okay? Now, it's my belief, it's my contention that referrals and advertising are really two of the very best ways to build your ideal practice. Referrals, once again, kind of a given. And I'm going to talk about referral systems here in just a minute. But what I wanted to do is spend a little bit of time talking about advertising. So 5 to 10% of your gross income should be invested back into advertising your business. That's just what normal successful business owners do. Is they always have an advertising budget, and whatever their gross income is, they're always putting a certain percentage of it back into their business. The faster they want to grow, the more they reinvest their money back into advertising. And that's what advertising should do. It literally is like flipping on the on switch, the light switch to your business, because it gives you instant exposure, instant website traffic, more leads, more Facebook fans, whatever you want it to do. And if you know how to hone that skill set, it's really the most profitable skill set you can have as a business owner, is learning how to advertise effectively. Now, I recommend Facebook ads. Facebook is definitely my favorite platform right now for advertising for any kind of business, any kind of practice. And there are a variety of reasons why I suggest that. First of all, you have total control and you can scale up over time. So you can start your ad budget at $3 to $5 a day even. And then once it's profitable, you can scale that up to $10, $20 a day if you want. Whereas with a lot of other forms of advertising, you have to dump down, drop a couple thousand or more right up front, and there's no guarantee of anything happening at all from your ad. So that's a lot more risky, and you have a lot less control over the metrics and the results. I think Facebook advertising comes from an authentic and meaningful context. And what I mean by that is if you do it right, you're leading with value and substance, and that's how you attract people to your message. You're not being salesy, you're not being schmarmy or weird about it at all. You're basically sharing a lot of value and giving people a lot of great content And that's what's going to attract them to your message and to want to work with you. So one of the ways that I define marketing is that it is the entry point into healing for people new to your work. So however they first hear about you, there should be some sort of like transformational shift for them in that moment, whether they're reading a blog post or a fan page post, or they go to your website and they read something there, like a story about you and your experience in your work. Something shifts for them where they get inspired, they gain some sort of insight from that, and that actually is the beginning point of the healing process for them. Now, whether they see you or not at that point is not really the issue. What I recommend is that you embrace a mindset of abundance and you say, okay, my goal is to go out there into the world and help as many people as I possibly can, whether they see me or not. And that's what I look at Facebook as an amazing platform to reach way more people than you ever could through any other medium. So as I mentioned, we have almost 100,000 people that we serve on our 2 fan pages. And, that's been one of the most amazing platforms I've ever had in my business without question. But the reason it works is because I have a mentality on there that I honestly don't really care that much who signs up as a client or who buys what from me. Like, I just try to share stuff that I know is going to help my audience and that is transformational for them in nature, that cheerleads them in their life, that inspires them, that provides a lot of value. And what I'm suggesting is if you set up your marketing well and you understand the process of sales psychology and how people buy from you, and you structure your website well, that a lot of those people that are receiving positive inspiration and goodwill through what you're putting out there on social media will want to work with you if it's done right. So you can lead with authenticity and value. How cool is that? You don't have to be weird about it. It doesn't have to feel like this, kind of awkward thing that you hate doing. So I love that about Facebook ads. It's a very natural way for a lot of us to build our business. So right now it's cheaper than any other platform, at least from what I can tell. And I want to show you a quick graphic to kind of drive this point home. So on this graphic, you see there's the cost to reach 1,000 people. And you see that if you run the average newspaper ad out there, that costs about $32 for your ad to be seen by 1,000 people. And all the way down at the bottom of this graph, it costs about 25 cents if you run Facebook ads. And then if you use Google AdWords, it's about $2.75. So you can see that Facebook advertising right now is definitely the cheapest way to get traffic to your website and to get a lot more exposure. And that is definitely true in my own experience. I've invested well over 6 figures into Facebook advertising in the course of my business. And all of the successful entrepreneurs I know, people that I really look up to in business, all of them are leveraging Facebook very heavily right now. That's really where they're putting their focus. Now, of course, that could change. I mean, everything changes, right? So eventually it will change. But right now, you have a really great opportunity to attract a lot more clients and patients, get a lot more exposure through running good Facebook ads, all right? So let me just go back to my last point here. In general, what that does is it produces a great return on investment if it's done right, if it's done correctly. So you definitely want to look at Facebook advertising as a skill set that you develop over time, all right? So just a quick example of this, like one of my clients, Brenna, she owns a nail spa in the Denver area here. And she started her business about 6 months ago. For the first couple of months after she opened, she was really concerned about her business. It wasn't really going anywhere fast. She was dumping a ton of money into it. And she didn't really understand how to market and get new customers in the door. So I basically taught her and her husband how to use Facebook, how to set up their website the right way, how to do this whole process. And now her business is grossing over $20,000 a month, and that is continuing to skyrocket. So her initial problem was, oh my gosh, I don't have nearly enough customers. Now her problem is, I need to hire more people. How do I do that? And that's a much better problem to have. So she's grown so rapidly that she has to take on a lot more staff to handle the demand. And 95% of that is coming through Facebook ads and just Facebook marketing. And her fan page now has over 2,000 fans, and it's by far her #1 method for website traffic and new sales, which is really cool. So I'm seeing that across the board for a lot of acupuncturists, chiropractors, naturopaths, therapists. Facebook is a great place to advertise your business right now. Now, just a quick reminder, the key to effective advertising is to let go of your attachment to getting more clients. And instead, you're just there to help. If people come in for treatment, that's fantastic. If not, that's fine too. And this is the most important, the most powerful mindset you need to embrace to sell more effectively. So I call this the art of selling without selling. You're not going onto Facebook to sell. You're going there to connect with people, to build relationships, to help them. to share value. And through that process, if your marketing is set up the right way, a lot of those people are going to want to work with you without question, okay? So please don't even bother with Facebook if your mindset is, oh my gosh, I have to get more patients, I have to make more money, I guess I'll try Facebook. That's what Kevin said to do. That's not going to work. It's basically self-sabotage. Your whole Facebook is what I call like a transparent marketing medium, as is all of social media and much of the internet, where people can tell what your motives are, what your intention is, right? So you just want to make sure you have a pure intention and that you're genuinely there to help as many people as possible and take them through the right process through your marketing and your website, and a lot of them will definitely want to work with you. So there is a learning curve with Facebook advertising, for sure, but you can definitely jump in and start experimenting on your own with a $5 a day budget and just go to facebook.com/advertising. And your goal right now is to get likes and website clicks for under 50 cents. So if the lifetime value of your average client is around $500 or more, which it should be, this should be a pretty profitable and dependable way to build your business fast. So really, I prefer website clicks right now. Facebook's algorithm is really crazy in terms of sometimes not showing posts. Sometimes they'll show posts a lot. It's pretty easy to get frustrated with that. So if you use Facebook advertising, I really recommend sending traffic directly from Facebook to your website. That's where a lot of us are seeing the most success right now, okay? And there's a lot that goes into this process that I coach on, because it's really one of the most profitable skill sets you can develop. Like in Brenna's example, going from nothing to over 20,000 a month that quickly. I mean, how much is that worth to you? I mean, it's a skill set that can definitely take you to a high level of success in your business, right? So what I want to do real quick is actually just hop off the PowerPoint, get another quick sip of water, and I'm going to go ahead and show you just a couple of things in the Facebook ad platform that I think are really cool, that I think you'll like a lot. It's pretty amazing what you can do with Facebook ads and how versatile they are. And what I'm going to do is take the example of if I wanted to get more patients for my local practice. This just shows you what the targeting capability is like on Facebook and how immense it is. So it's virtually impossible to get this targeted with ads on any other platform. And it's pretty miraculous that you can do this on Facebook, okay? So I'm just logged into the ad manager right now, and this would just be a total random sample ad that I would do. But under targeting, under audience, what I'm going to do is drill it down to my local area. So I'm in the Denver Boulder area, so I type in Denver, Boulder, type in a few other quick places here, if I can spell. There we go. Just a couple more. So generally, you can keep your ads up to a 40 to 50 mile radius even of your practice. If you're good at what you do and you market well, people will definitely drive from far away on the internet to see you if you position yourself as an expert. Had that happen time and again, where people would drive up to Boulder to see me from South Denver. It's about an hour-long drive a lot of the time. There are plenty of people they could see locally, but they liked what I had to say. They liked my information online, and I positioned myself as an expert, so they wanted to see me. That's the way it generally goes in marketing. Okay, so cool. So I've designated a lot of cities that I could draw patients or clients from. Now what I'm going to do is, and you can see here already we have 1.88 million people that are potentially going to see this ad just in my local area. So that shows you how big Facebook is. Facebook has well over 1 billion users now. So it's the second most trafficked website on the entire planet. So I guarantee you, your ideal clients are hanging out on Facebook in droves right now. There's no way around it. And they're spending a lot of time on this site every day. It's a hypnotic site. I mean, a lot of us find it's hard to kind of get off of. Spend a lot of time on this site. Personally, I don't really spend much personal time on the site. I run my business through Facebook a lot, though. I like it for that purpose. All right, so I'm going to drill down the age now. And I'm going to say my ideal client is somebody that's between 25 and we'll do, how about 55? And let's say I'm generally focused on treating women. So already we have a pretty targeted ad. It's only going out to my local area, and it's women between 25 and 55. And you see here, I'm still reaching up to 600,000 women in my local area. I could just run the ad like that if I wanted. I mean, that's not bad. It's really not a bad ad in terms of targeting. But let's keep going. So I can specify English. So they're only native English speakers. And then I'll go down. Now, this is one of the really cool things about Facebook ads. Under more demographics, I can actually specify according to, check this out, their financial situation. So I can specify that I want my ads shown only to people who make more than $50,000 a year. So if you want a cash-based practice and you're looking to attract people that have some disposable income, yeah, now my ad is going to show to women between 25 and 55 who make $50,000 and up per year, which is awesome targeting right there. Okay, so then you can also target based on like net worth. You can target if they own a home or not. You can target on if they're single or married, on what level of education they have. That you know, if you generally see people that are college educated, you can run ads just to them. So the next thing I'm going to do is drill down according to interests. So let's say I want my ad to show to people that have an interest in fitness and wellness, in acupuncture, in chiropractic, in meditation. Cancel that. So meditation is already included. How about alternative medicine, energy medicine, naturopathy, homeopathy? You can choose as many of these as you want. And then I'll do like Whole Foods. So you can get very creative with the way that you specify your targeting. And you can see here that I still have, with this crazy level of specificity in my targeting, 130,000 women that I'm still targeting for this ad. So these are all women between the ages of 25 and 55 who make more than 50,000 a year and who have shown an interest in basically all of the complementary modalities like Whole Foods and all of this that my market would be interested in, right? So that kind of targeting is pretty much insane. It's almost impossible to accomplish that through any other means besides Facebook right now, okay? So in terms of how Facebook gathers that kind of data, I'm not going to go into that right now. It is kind of controversial, and a lot of people aren't terribly excited that they can do that because it feels a little like Big Brother-ish, which I totally get. I'm not taking a philosophical stance on this. I'm just saying from a marketing perspective, this is pretty awesome advertising, you guys. And I use a lot of these targeting features every day when I'm running my ads. They work really, really well. So I just wanted to show you that just as a real example of what you can do with Facebook ads, okay? Cool. All right, so I'm going to just go through one other system here that I want you guys to really focus on. And one other quick thing with advertising, just make sure you have an automated way to follow up with prospective clients with any form of advertising you use. So it's really bad. It's a bad idea, pretty risky to run ads if you don't have a way to stay in touch with people. So if you don't have good lead generation in place, you're probably going to squander money on your ads. So that's why your website needs to be set up so you can stay in touch effectively with people that click on your ad and go to your website, okay? Pretty much common sense, but really easy to overlook. All right, so just really quickly, and then we'll wrap it up because I know we've already been on the webinar for quite some time, but I hope you guys are getting a lot of value out of this. Step number 3, our third core step to double your practice in 90 days is to implement a word of mouth referral system. So we do need to leverage referrals as powerfully as we can. It really does help. A lot of us just have never thought of it like this, or we're just not doing that much right now to be proactive about it. So how do we get more referrals? Well, like I said, just doing great work is generally not enough. So if we don't ask for referrals, we have no system in place, we're generally going to be pretty frustrated with the results we're getting there. And we've also found that giving out business cards is kind of an antiquated approach. It feels clunky. And it often feels kind of forced and kind of lame, kind of awkward. So if that's your method right now, if that's working for you, that's awesome. And I definitely want you to keep doing what's working. But a lot of us don't do that because it just doesn't feel very good to like have this weird conversation about getting your clients to send more people to you, right? So, which I totally get. So what we found is that the best method is to send an email to all satisfied clients with an invitation to send 2 people they know to your website. And ideally, that would be to a page set up specifically for people being referred to you. So the way that works, well, first of all, the reason email is so good is because it's convenient. And it's really easy for people to keep it front of mind and to just get it done like really fast. It's also very convenient for the person receiving that information. All you have to do is click on a link in an email to see what you're all about and to potentially follow up with you and schedule. Way more efficient and way more convenient for people than doing nothing or handing out a business card. And also, it's a lot less invasive. It doesn't feel like you're having this weird conversation with people. What you do is after a client raves about your services, they're satisfied with your care, you would just shoot them an email before they get home. So they come out of treatment, they're leaving your office. As you know, ideally you'd squeeze this in and just copy and paste your little template that you would send to them. Shoot them an email that basically what it would do is praise them and say, we've really enjoyed working with you. So happy to see you're getting such great results. That's awesome. Really pleased to see that. Hey Bob, but you really are like an ideal patient for us. We've really enjoyed working with you, and it's really our goal to see more people just like you. And what we've discovered is that the people you know are going to likely be a good fit for that. So if you know a couple of people right now who are struggling with their health, or you think we could help them, would you mind sending this link to those folks right now? And that link that Bob is going to send to a couple people is going to be to a page on your website. Now, that could just be the homepage of your site. That's fine. It's way better than doing nothing. But the ideal is to have a page set up that's specific for this person being sent to the page. So on that page would just be like a little welcome to our practice statement. Maybe a little video there would be nice. I would really go in that direction with your team there and just showing your office and just saying, hey, you've been referred to this page by somebody who's received value in our care. And we're really glad you're here. And we're really excited to work with you, basically, and to help you out. So we want to make sure all of your questions are answered, that you totally understand how we can help you, how our process works. So the first thing we'd like you to do, and then you walk them through the process of how they can get started with you. So whether that's downloading your free information, getting on your email list, liking you on Facebook, calling your office, scheduling online, like you take them through a very sequential process to get this thing started. Now, even if they don't schedule with you right on the spot, you want to stay in touch with those people. So they've come to this page. Ideally, they should get on your email list. So now you can build a relationship with them, because it's just like anybody else. A lot of them will not see that initial link and just immediately pick up the phone and call. You need to do a little nurturing of the relationship, and that maximizes the chance of getting referrals from people, okay? So email and online technology for a lot of this stuff with contact management, referrals, it works really, really well. And it's pretty innovative. And a lot of practitioners flat out are not doing it, and that's why they're struggling. That's one of the reasons they're struggling. So there's a lot more that I could say on this. These are all issues that I coach on all the time, you guys, and they're all like in-depth skills that we develop through practice and through the right mentoring, okay? So cool. Well, I just wanted to go through really quickly a summary of how you're going to double your practice in the next 90 days. First off, you need to start thinking like an entrepreneur by expanding your vision of what's possible and letting go of limiting beliefs that keep you stuck or growing slowly, okay? So doing that mindset work. You want to structure your website to generate leads and convey authority. Remember that your site should do a lot of the heavy lifting for you. You want to learn how to advertise and start using Facebook, ideally, to flip on the switch for your business by exploding your visibility. You want to maximize referrals by implementing an email follow-up system. And we didn't get a chance to talk about this one too much, but you want to make sure you have excellent contact management systems in place using email and your Facebook fan page, okay? That's your fan page, not your personal profile. That's where you want to connect with people in your business, all right? And those are both two of the very best ways to stay in touch with people, through your fan page and through email marketing. So, wow, we've covered a lot of ground. I hope you found a tremendous amount of value in a lot of the concepts and ideas that I've shared with you. And what I'd really like to do right now, you guys, is kind of shift gears for just a couple more minutes. So I want you to just take a few moments right now to just totally clear your mind. And I'm going to kind of do the same. I've been chatting a lot, sharing a lot of ideas. So let's just take a few deep breaths and kind of get back into our bodies, let go of some of the conceptual stuff that we've talked about here today. And I want you to just, as you're clearing out your mind, relaxing, taking some of the tension out of your body, letting your thoughts go, start to plant a very deep and powerful visual in your mind that you have your ideal practice 90 days from now. And I really want you to feel this fully, like allow yourself to go there. So what does that feel like for you? To be helping the amount of people you really want to help, making the impact in the world you really want to make, creating the financial reality that would most serve you, your clients, and your family, leaving a legacy of your purpose behind in this world. How important is that to you right now? And can you allow yourself to truly feel this right now as if it's here with you already? What does that feel like for you? Is it really exciting? Does it feel like a relief? Like a weight has been lifted from your shoulders? I know every time I visualize this for myself, it's like just like I feel like I can breathe more deeply. Like, it feels so revitalizing, right? So let that in for a moment. And I want you to really consider this question right now. What does this mean to you? What would it mean for you to have that in place? Now, I know when I was building my practice and looking how to be successful in the world, there was nothing that was really more important to me than that. I knew that was kind of one of the cornerstones of my life. So I know for me personally, it meant a lot. And because it did mean that much, I created a lot of success in business, right? Because I valued it tremendously. So I want you to get really clear on how deeply you value this right now. And now I want you to consider, what is it costing you right now to not have this? What is the real impact in your life right now of not having this in place? Is it affecting your sleep at night? Do you go to bed worrying about your business or your finances? Is there just like a low-grade frustration that you're not quite maximizing your potential in the world? Or maybe like you feel like like I did, when I was building my business and I was kind of using willpower a lot to get there, that I could never be fully present with my family, my kids, my wife. And I was always just kind of like preoccupied, right? So this can take a lot of different forms. But what is the real cost for you right now of not being able to actualize this into your life? And can you own that for yourself? It takes a lot of courage to be that honest and to just fully admit where you're really at right now and what that's costing you. So I want to leave you with this final thought and more or less of a mantra that your success comes down to a choice that you make. It's not about the economy. It's not about how much competition there is. It's not about what insurance companies are doing. It's not even about like how much experience you've had, how many credentials come after your name. Ultimately, your entire success in your business comes down to a choice you make to be empowered and to proactively go for the life that you want. So you've probably come to this webinar today because you've made a choice, right? You really want to be on the side of proactivity, of empowerment, of taking control of your future, becoming a savvy entrepreneur, and living life on your own terms. So if you feel ready to choose the level of success and prosperity that you're capable of creating, then what I'd like to do right now, if you've really enjoyed this webinar and gotten some value from it, is go ahead and apply for a free business strategy session with either me or one of my practice growth advisors. Now, this is going to be 60 minutes that we totally dedicate to you on the phone for free. And we just love doing these calls. I have a team of advisors that have all basically used my coaching principles and strategies to great success in their own practice. So they practice what they preach, just like I do. And these are people that can absolutely help you on the phone to get a lot more clear about where you're at right now, where you really want to be, and what it's going to take to get you from where you are to where you want to be as fast as we possibly can, okay? So if you want to apply for a free strategy session, the link that you can go to is buildyourdreampractice.net/apply. And you can go ahead and do that right now. There's just a short form there that takes like 5 to 10 minutes to fill out. And because we do have a very large audience and we do get a lot of requests for applications, this truly is an application process. We can't work with every single person that applies. So we mainly work with people that are serious about what they do. They're generally looking towards a 6-figure vision or bigger for their practice. That seems to be a common thread. And they're ready. They want to grow. They're really serious about their work and they want to make the biggest impact that they can. So if that's you, we'd love to hear from you. I promise we won't bite. We're super nice and friendly, and we just would really be happy to help you out, okay? So on this call, like I said, it's like 60 minutes. What we're going to do on this call is we're going to spend a lot of time basically diagnosing your practice. It's very much like what you do with a client, but this is for your practice. So we diagnose your practice. We figure out exactly where you're at right now, get very clear on that, what's working, what's not working, and in particular, what are the main challenges and frustrations that you're up against What are the bottlenecks in your business right now? What's holding you back? And what is that costing you? So we're going to spend a lot of time on that. And then I'm going to have you paint a picture for us, for me, of your ideal practice. What does that really look like to you? And really stretch yourself and really, really go in the direction of what you ideally want. And then we're going to spend some time implementing a plan, crafting a plan for getting you from where you are to where you want to be, okay? Now, at the end of that call, one of two things is going to happen. If we determine that you're a really great fit for what we do, and it's just there's a mutual fit there, it's really obvious we can help you, we're going to share a little bit about what it's like to work with me in one of my coaching programs. And that's only if you want to hear that. If it's of interest to you, feel inspired to hear that, then we'll definitely share that. And if it's not a good fit, if we don't think we can help you, we're going to be very honest about that. At this point in my coaching work, I really only want to work with clients that I know I can help, that are going to get great results implementing what I'm going to suggest to them. And they're going to take action. They're committed to their success. So that certainly isn't everybody. But if you feel like you're a good candidate for that, we would love to hear from you. So yeah, like I said, the second thing that would happen is nothing. We would do the call with you. We'd try to give you as much value, as much help as we could. And if we don't think we can help you, we'll part ways, totally friendly, and we'll wish you the very best. So it's buildyourdreampractice.net/apply. Go ahead and fill that form out now. And we would love to hear from you, and we'll get back with you as fast as we can, okay? Usually within even 24 hours, we'll let you know if we can get you scheduled in the very near future. So cool, guys. Well, that pretty much sums it up. So what I wanted to do is just take a quick sip of water, first of all, and just go through some questions and see if anybody had any questions during this webinar. So just 1 second. So if you do have a question about anything that we talked about, go ahead and type it into the little chat field there, the little question box. And I'll try to get to as many as we can and help you guys out as much as I can, okay? Okay, so we had a lot more people type in where they were calling in from. Awesome. So that's always good to see. Dr. J, good question. He's saying, could you quit my previous practice because I couldn't sustain it and you thought that you could make more of a business doing coaching? You have said that you wanted to influence and help more people, and the coaching was the way you could do it. Yeah, good question. I'm always happy to answer that. I'm totally open about my experience. It's actually pretty much just the opposite, Jay, where I got my practice up to such a high level that it kind of freaked me out. That I was like, I was really young. I was in my early 30s when I was seeing as many patients as I could handle, and I did very deep work for people, more psycho-emotionally based work, spending a little bit more time with clients than I think most of us probably would, and integrating a lot of different strategies to get them better. So I used to work with a lot of anxiety and depression, and just more, I'd say, a little deeper issues. And for me, what I discovered through doing that process for a couple of years at a very high level is that that wasn't my true passion in life. That wasn't my calling. And I always have had a very strong entrepreneurial bug inside of me, where I knew that I was meant to kind of have more of a worldwide impact and influence. That was just always my vision. And I knew that the internet was going to be my medium to do it. I just had a passion for that. And I always loved doing the clinical work. I always loved working with patients, but it always felt like kind of an inherently limiting model for me. So everybody's different in this way, right? So I actually held onto my practice for a really, really long time because I really enjoyed it, and I could have given it up. At a certain point, it totally became optional, and I just did it because I liked it. I really liked working with patients. But yeah, it's one of those skill sets that once you learn how to market, it should be totally sustainable. And if you can't sustain it, it just means that your skill set is kind of not developed as a marketer. So I crossed that threshold and really got very comfortable with how to scale that practice up to the level I wanted. I also experimented with the associate model and scaling it up through working with associates, discovered that really wasn't my thing. Because honestly, Jay, I'm not much of a manager of people. It's not really what I like doing, like babysitting people or managing them so much. I'm much more of a creative type. Much more of a big thinker. I like writing and I like coaching. I love the coaching work, and that's just more of my passion. It more resonates, I think, with my core strengths too. So I think that's the answer I would give you on that one. So I hope that helps. And it is true. I mean, the comparison between a local practice and what you can do on a worldwide scale, I mean, you really can't even compare the two. So if you're seeing even 300 patients a week in a local practice, well, if you have a fan page worldwide of 100,000 people and an email list of 50,000 people, and you're creating products and programs that serve people on that scale, yeah, I mean, your ability to impact more lives in a positive way through the internet, you really can't compare it to the private practice model. So it all depends on what you want. Dominique is saying, are you opposed to offering Groupon for services? I'm not inherently opposed to it, Dominique. I think it's actually a very personal decision in terms of what works for you and what doesn't. All marketing strategies can potentially work, but they don't work for everybody. So in my experience, 50% of the people that try Groupon love it, 50% hate it and say they would never do it again. So it's one of those things that it's good to experiment for yourself and see how you feel about it. If you do it, my recommendation is to make sure you're extremely clear about your client retention process, how you educate people, how you build rapport with them, because it does get very frustrating bringing a lot of people in on the front end who never sign up again on the back end, who never come back, and they're just looky-loos, and all they want is a discount. That can get very frustrating, okay? So, but for some of my clients, they've loved it. It's been a great way they've built their practice, but I would say probably more on the other side of the fence where it feels like kind of a limiting model. And has a lot of disadvantages, maybe more than the advantages. Dr. J, yeah, I'm going to go into your question here a little bit because I think it's a relevant one for a lot of us. So you're saying that the acupuncture environment in my area is that community clinics are popping up like weeds. Like weeds. Yeah, they're infesting the entire area. I get it. They create that atmosphere of the fastest race to the bottom in the mind of consumers. So it's inevitable that in all businesses, adaptability is one of the most important components you're gonna need to embrace. And there will always be situations that pop up that cause concern and that make you feel like maybe the regular model that you've created isn't that sustainable. In my opinion, and definitely in my experience, a lot of this once again harkens back to how skilled you are as a marketer and how good you are at articulating the value behind what you do. So instead of feeling like really like kind of drained or like frustrated by that happening, what a savvy entrepreneur does is they look at that situation and say, okay, how can I actually make that work to my advantage? And you start to position yourself, like you create a USP or a unique selling proposition that shows people the complete value that you have to offer that a community clinic maybe could never offer. So what does that look like? Are you totally clear on that? If I went to your website right now, would that be abundantly clear to me? So if somebody's window shopping out there and they're like, oh, I can get acupuncture over here for 20 bucks. Why should I go to Dr. J when it's 80 bucks, right? Well, you need to make sure that's very clear on your site. And in fact, it gives you a unique opportunity to sell what you do in a more powerful way and to show them maybe some of the limits of that other model, show prospective clients, not in a way that bashes that model or that is judgmental towards it, but just is truthful. Like really showcases the uniqueness of what you do. So a lot of this is about expert positioning and just how you what sort of process you take people through in your marketing, what sort of context they come to your work through. Because it's true in any market, Jay. Like as a business coach, some people will only want to spend $50 to build a practice of $1 million a year, right? I mean, this is true. A lot of us are looking for discounts constantly, and that's just our mindset. Whereas some people will hire a business coach for $100,000. I mean, it's all true. It's all objective, right? So which side of the fence do you want to be on? Well, if you want to be on the more expensive side of the fence, you have to do a really good job of articulating the value. In any market, that can absolutely be done, but it all is about skill development and how good you are at that skill, right? So my advice to you, Dr. J, is to use that as fuel for becoming a more savvy marketer for your business rather than a trend that you feel angry about or concerns you or feels like just disempowering, okay? And there's absolutely a way to do that. We all have to do that. As a business coach, I have to do that, right? We all have to do that in our market is adapt, look at what else is going on out there, and structure our marketing so that it's always advantageous for us. Dominique, how do you feel about joining networking groups? Some can be really expensive. Dominique, I'm generally a fan of that. Depends on where you are in your practice development, how far along you are. If you're a new practitioner, joining a good networking group is a great thing to do because it's not only about getting clients, it develops a lot of skills that help you in your business. Communication skills, it helps you build confidence in selling your services. It's a really powerful thing to do. I joined networking groups and I really attributed that to my ability to get on a webinar for several hundred people like this and just seamlessly deliver this kind of content. Networking groups were a prelude to me being able to do this. Absolutely. Every networking group is different. Some of them are terrible and totally stagnant. And a lot of the people have a poverty mindset in them and they're just looking for more business. They're not looking to have it reciprocal. Other groups, I've been in a couple groups where it was awesome, man. I got a ton of patience from it. It was fantastic. So Dominique, one of my pieces of advice for you, and this may be a stretch, is to never again look at anything that you invest in your marketing education or in your practice development as expensive. Because expensive is a term that you're going to use when you feel cramped, when you feel limited, when you feel like you're kind of up against the wall. And instead look at it as potential opportunity. So even if like BNI or something like that is $500 to get started, well, what's the potential return on investment? If you get one new patient from BNI, you can easily recoup that investment, right? Like easily. If you see that patient like 4 or 5 times, you've gotten your investment back. And then what happens if you get another 40, 50, 60 patients and they're like I did, like pretty conservatively. So you want to look at all marketing as opportunity and not so much as expensive. Because even like if you spent $10,000 this month on Facebook ads, well, on a certain level, you could say that's expensive, right? That's really expensive. But what if that was generating $100,000 for you? Would that still be expensive? So it's all relative. And one of the things I've trained my mind to do is never like buy into the belief that any sort of advertising expense or marketing is really that expensive, or really anything for that matter. So like even when I buy cars or clothes or whatever, I mean, I tend to look at it like, does it more resonate? Does it feel like inspiring to me? Does it feel like something that I genuinely want? Because that mindset of it being expensive can take you out of that space where you're running from a place of inspiration and instead you're dictated by fear. So I don't say that to sound harsh in any way. It's really helpful sometimes hearing that and getting coached on that level. So I hope that helps. But yeah, I think long answer, BNI and those kind of groups can be very helpful. Mike is asking, will this webinar be available for download? Yeah, I'm going to have a 48-hour recording. So this will be available till, I think, what's today? Thursday? So Sunday, Mike. You'll get a link for that. Yohi saying, looks good, would like to know more about marketing. Yohi, go ahead and fill out that application form, buildyourdreampractice.net/apply. And let us know where you're at and we'll see what we can do to help you out, okay? Andrea is saying, this is great, thanks. Really appreciate you being here, Andrea. That's awesome. Seneca is asking, if you have a small budget, can you still make an effective website without spending a bunch of money first? Well, you can. I mean, there's always a way to get set up online. And there's always like kind of the ideal of what you really want. And then there's maybe the reality of what you can afford or what's realistic for you right now. So if you have to get set up with a cheaper site right now, what I want you to really embrace is the mindset that like this is only a starting point. And that if I want this to be a sustainable long-term business and I'm serious about it, then I'm going to invest in my website for sure. And I'm going to take a percentage of what I make in profit from my business and gradually reinvest that back into the redesign of my website. Okay. So you have lots of options there. Depending on what you mean by small budget. If it's like $100, it's extremely difficult to get any sort of quality done for that. Even overseas, like if you hire somebody in India or something like that, it's still really difficult. Trust me on that. So yeah, I mean, you want to look at your website as a business expense. That if you're looking to run a pretty serious business, then yeah, it's one of those things you're gonna need to invest in it sooner or later. But yeah, get set up in a little cheaper way, and then eventually you can scale it up, Seneca. That's what I would say. Silas is saying, appreciated the content very much. That's awesome. Great to have you here, Silas. That's really cool. Okay, we have a few more questions. Dominique is saying, thank you very much. My mindset has already changed since typing that in at the beginning of the webinar. Dominique, that's awesome. I love hearing that. And I was going to say, it's funny, I was going to say, well, you've gotten your money's worth, but then I forgot this was free. So you've gotten more than that, hopefully. Al, thanks Al for that. Al is saying, thanks. I've done several things with you with great benefit. Looking forward to doing more here. Already consider myself pretty successful in my field, but see much more opportunity for greater rewards in this work. Yeah, Al, I think that's well said. I mean, there's always more opportunity. It's all about what your priorities are, what your vision is. And yeah, but we're happy to, of course, help you out. Go ahead and apply if you'd like to chat with one of us and see what we can do to move you forward. That'd be awesome. All right. I see a bunch of other questions here. Let me see if I can organize these. Chris is asking, do I do much coaching of licensed professionals that are in mental health? Some of the rules about marketing privacy and restrictions on using media are present related to either stigma or standards of professional conduct to discourage active marketing. Yeah, I mean, we've worked with a ton of psychotherapists, psychologists in our programs, Chris. So yeah, very much so. And this is a question that they always ask without question. And honestly, this whole issue of marketing online for the therapy profession, it is somewhat of a gray zone right now. And it's honestly not my area of expertise in terms of the legalities of it. It's my contention that as long as it's a gray zone and there aren't explicit laws that you can find against it after consulting with a lawyer, for instance, and as long as you put clear disclaimers on everything you're doing online, then I think you're okay. So what that would entail is putting a clear privacy disclaimer like on your fan page that says, this page is intended for public purposes only. Please do not share private health related information here. That will be deleted instantly. You can email us or contact us at your here at this number with specific questions about your situation. And this is not intended to give any specific medical advice, blah, 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 that kind of approach. And you never allow people on your fan page or on your blog to comment and like ask specific questions about their situation. And if you do, you delete it instantly, okay? And you just contact them or just tag them and say, hey, I deleted your message. Go ahead and email us with that question. We'd love to hear from you there. I think as long as everything is blanketed with disclaimers like that, privacy policies, I think you're okay right now. I mean, that's the general consensus that I've gotten working with a lot of other therapists who have researched this quite extensively. So, these are constantly laws and regulations that we have to adapt to. And once again, adaptability is just one of those qualities we want to keep in mind. It doesn't mean you have to paralyze yourself and not do any of this just because you're afraid of some unknown law or gray zone getting the best of you. I always move forward as long as there is no explicit law against it, and as long as I know I'm covering my bases to the best that I can. Okay. Same with testimonials. Some professions or some areas don't allow testimonials. So if that's the case, don't include them. Don't break the law or anything. But what can you do to adapt to that? So can you include case studies and speak more from a firsthand perspective and keep your client anonymous and share their experience from your own perspective? That's almost as powerful actually as testimonials, right? So there are usually ways to come up, to get around it, and it's just a matter of being kind of resourceful and innovative, all right? Awesome, Chris. I hope that helped you out. Let me know if that clarifies. Ken is saying, thank you very much, Kevin. Really enjoyed it. Blessings to you, Ken. Really great to have you here. It's awesome that you can make it here. I think, hold on, let me just make sure I got to everybody. I think there's a couple more here. Hold on just one sec, guys. Oh, no, I already got to those. I think we got everybody. Let me see. Is there anybody else that I can help out? Jenny is asking. Jenny's asking, do I have any recommendations for applications to collect email information from patients, such as Chimp Mail? I think you meant MailChimp there, Jenny. I'm going to type into the little browser here. Hold on one sec. I'm going to type in the service that I recommend. You guys should be able to see a link there that says kdoherty.aweber.com. So I like Aweber a lot. That seems to be the most reputable email marketing service out there. Pretty much A to Z for about $20 a month. It'll get you started. Just pretty easy to use. A lot of them are very similar. MailChimp's pretty similar. But yeah, that's the one that I know of, that I've used a lot and that I prefer. So I hope that helps. Cool. Let me see here. I didn't catch your name, B Gray 201. Got your email address there though, but it's a really good insight you're making here, and I'm excited that you're sharing that. Most of my clients are dirt poor. Good to be honest about that, man. I now see that I'm projecting a poverty mindset and should start thinking that I'm worth more. So yeah, B Gray, what I'm going to suggest is that you actually hold a concrete visual in your mind of being worth minimally $200 an hour from this point forward. And that doesn't mean you have to be there yet, but eventually you might just actually get there by just holding that standard internally in your mind and just telling yourself that and kind of owning the energy of that. Okay. There's just something about like getting into the felt sense of that and like having a metric in mind of how much you're worth. That is really, really powerful. So if your clients are showing up right now and they're saying, well, how about $15, B Gray? Does that sound good for this session? Well, what that means is, if you're seeing that on a recurring basis, you're attracting clients who are reflecting a belief back to you that you're only worth that amount. So start positioning a new belief in your mind and expanding your blueprint about what's possible. Pale's asking, how much are your coaching sessions? Pale, we generally don't really talk much about details or specifics about coaching or anything until I know I can help you and you would be a good fit for what I do. So if it turns out you are, we would be more than happy to give you all of the details. Because I don't even really talk about that on my website anywhere or anything like that. We only want to work with people that we know we can help at this point, and it's not everybody. So for the right fit, we have a lot to offer in that regard. So I would say fill out an application. Just at that link you see on your screen, and if you wanted to chat with me or one of my consultants, if it got to that place and we really thought we could help you out, you're a great fit, then we would talk all about that. All right. So I hope that's fair enough. So cool, guys. I think that wraps it up. I don't see any other questions. So it's been a total pleasure doing this with you and sharing this content. I hope you've received a ton of value and you have a lot of great insights and tips that you can take right away to your practice. Hopefully some great mindset shifts too, and just get you thinking bigger in a stronger, more empowered way about what you do. All right. I would love to hear your feedback. If you go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/Dream Practice fan page, go ahead and share any takeaways, any insights, or any helpful tips you got from this webinar. I'd love to hear it. That'd be awesome. And either way, whether you fill out this application and want to follow up with one of us personally for 60 minutes or not, let's stay in touch. I'd love to hear from you and just see how you're doing in your business. And let's leave it at that, guys. So thanks again. Really appreciate you being here, and I wish you nothing but the best for your continued practice success. And I'm here to help you in as much depth as I possibly can. So bye for now. Make it a great rest of the day, and we'll be in touch soon. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.